Okay, so today, you guys, we're going to be talking about brain health, and I'm going to talk about 4 weird things I do for my brain health. And it's not maybe weird to someone who knows about the brain, but to someone who doesn't know, maybe it's going to be an interesting video and kind of off the wall a little bit. So, anyway, I've had the privilege of studying the brain a lot. I studied it in school and also learned and worked with a brain scientist after school, and even during school I was writing papers for he has some foundation or something. Anyway, I worked with him, and then I worked with him after I graduated as well, and got to see lots and lots and lots, thousands of brain scans. So I was able to really get a good idea of what's going on, and I was able to compare my brain at different times in my life, like when I was eating a lot of gluten, and maybe when I was eating not as many calories as I do now, because now I have a very high calorie diet, and that's what works for me with my brain health. So, and I've found that when I scanned my brain after having a high calorie diet for a while, my brain was lit up in areas that were not lit up before, which generally just means your brain is working better, your brain is more active, right? So I was able to compare a lot of brain scans, and so this is kind of just an intro video about brain health and why I think it's so important, and why I've learned to take care of my brain above pretty much all else, right? And I'm not saying that you don't want to use your mind to, affirm and keep your mind in the right place, but I think caring for your brain is essential, because we are wanting to use our minds to create our lives, right? Our minds are really important in our life. I mean, even just doing work projects, we use our mind, right? Or our brain, and thinking really good thoughts and being able to have focus. There's a lot of reasons why we want a healthy brain, right? And I would say focus is our new modern day currency as well. It's the most valuable thing we have, which has to do with the brain, right? And if you keep your brain healthy, you will be able to focus more, and you'll be able to have more sustained focus, and you won't be as scattered, and so you'll make you'll make your time more worthwhile, right? You won't be so all over the place. So there's a lot of reasons to focus on the brain, and those are just a few. But anyway, I just wanted to say, I want to make sure, I'm not excluding keeping your mind in the right place, right? And knowing that your brain's healthy in your mind as well, keeping you on the right track in that area as well, right? I'm not just saying doing these things only. I'm saying definitely doing both is what I choose to do, and you've got your own choices to make. So the number one thing, I'll just start in with it, the number one thing I do that's weird, that people might consider weird is to take care of my brain, is I drink little to no water. Okay, hear me out. Okay, this is gonna sound crazy, but you're gonna just have to hear me out. So water is, a lot of people say, oh, you got to drink your you got to be hydrated and all this stuff, but water's not that hydrating. Let me put you on to something, because unless there's substance to the thing you're drinking, a lot of water we have now is substance free. What I mean by that is that all the minerals have been drawn out of the water, right? Either you're using a filtered water or RO water, which is reverse osmosis, or you just have, spring water that's been highly filtered, or, even, distilled water is the worst, because there's nothing in that. This is just total, just the water is stripped of all the minerals, right? So in this case, you would not be actually hydrating as much as you think you are. So instead of drinking water, I actually drink more things with substance. And I've got a few examples here for you that I'm going to show you. But some examples of that would be to drink juice instead, right? And I like to do, fresh OJ in the morning. That's a really good source of hydration, because it's got substance to it. It's not just plain water going in and going out. There's a lot of plain water goes in and goes out, and it does not hydrate your brain. So it, this is all about brain health. So it's about hydrating your brain, and the water with no substance, or liquids with no substance is going to be really not as hydrating for your brain at all, and actually can dehydrate your brain, because our bodies, including our brains, are actually made of salt water. It's not actual plain water, right? So you can actually dehydrate your brain by drinking plain water. So I never recommend that. I recommend drinking, something with substance, or, adding salt to your water. And that's not even that good. Vegetable broth is really good, bone broth. And I'll just show you what I drink here. So some examples of what I drink, and I just have like a couple of the things to show you guys, is I drink bone broth or vegetable broth, okay? So these are just ones I picked up that I use sometimes. I don't like the containers. They're not like that eco-friendly, but it's just like a bone broth. It's got oils in it, some good, like there's mushroom powder in this one, garlic, sea salt. They put, it's made of free range organic bones, right? So they get all the minerals out of the bones. So it's highly rich in minerals and very hydrating. Okay. So I'm drinking things like that with substance in them. I also drink this raw milk, and the reason this is so good, first of all, it's grass-fed, it's non-pasteurized, right? So all the minerals and vitamins are all intact, and it's got cream in it. It's very healthy for the brain, actually. The CLA, it's got conjugated linoleic acid in it, which I'll go into in another video. This video I don't want to make too long, but milk has a lot of good things in it. Dairy products, I don't recommend staying away from dairy if you're trying to take care of your brain, because the CLA is really important for your brain. The brain is made of fats. Neurons are made of fat. So this is another really good, and this is really good substance to drink. It's also very hydrating. There's a lot of minerals in it. So you're not just drinking plain water, which is not very hydrating. I know it's going to be shocking to some of you, but I studied health for a really long time, and, even growing up, have a whole family of scientists. I studied, biochem. My mom is a biochemist. I literally have a whole family of scientists. My grandmother was an herbalist and a medical practitioner. I just have a whole family that does this stuff, and so I've been exposed to this stuff for a really long time, and I've been absorbing information for years and years, so since I was a little kid. So this is what I drink instead of water, so this, or juice, or just a broth of some kind, but it's so good for you, and you're actually getting hydrated from it. Okay, so that's number one. Number two weird thing that you might think is weird is I eat lots and lots of salt, which a lot of people would say, oh, that's not healthy. But it is healthy, because we actually are not made of water. We're not 70% water. We're 70% salt water. So, in order to stay hydrated and to actually hydrate the brain so that it can function, the way it's supposed to function, and mentally, so you're not as foggy and you can think clearly and have your focus and be healthy in your brain, is drink, either you can add salt to your water, which I don't do because I don't really drink all that much water anyway, which is going to shock people, but I am more hydrated than the average person too, because we would do, I've done this recently as well, but it was blood, looking at your blood to see how hydrated you are. So I am way hydrated. So I know that it's good. I know that it's working. And my brain is hydrated too. When you look at the scans, you can tell. And also, highly functioning as well. But I would say that, not really to add salt to the water, but instead just to eat salty stuff, and who doesn't like a good potato chip, right? Or a good plantain, right? I like to eat plantains, and I'm going to give you just an example of what I would eat for like a salty snack that keeps me hydrated, okay? She's slipping, so I got to get her. She's almost falling off. Okay. So here's another. I can barely reach it. She likes this stuff, so she eats it too. But so I eat these as plantain chips. There's got a lot of salt in them, and they're a good source of carbohydrates. And I eat regular potato chips too. I love sweet potato chips. Those are the best. So I'll eat this for I'll eat a whole bag of these for a snack. I'm on a high calorie diet, so I eat lot of calories. And then I dip it in this. So this is just cottage cheese, again, a dairy product. A lot of people have, their qualms with dairy, but the CLA in full fat dairy is going to be really, really good for your brain and your whole brain, neurons, all the neurons are made of fat, especially saturated fat. So don't be afraid of saturated fat. I eat a lot of cheese. I eat a lot of, full fat dairy. I never get reduced fat dairy. This is the highest percentage of fat, the 4%. They might even have, sometimes I do get the 6%, which is cream on top. So it's even more, they even add fat to it. But I never get low fat dairy because dairy is so, the fats in dairy, especially the saturated ones, are really good for you. And they are talking more about this. This used to be something that was not even talked about at all. And everyone was saying, oh no, don't, lower your saturated fats. No, it's not good for you. But now it's actually being talked about as a benefit for your brain and also just general health. So, people are now catching on to this, but I've been, on this path for a long time because I've just known this, having all the scientists and health people in my family. So, but there is evidence of it if you want to look it up now, because people are learning about it and they're understanding how important saturated fats are for the brain. So I just have I try not to eat like a crazy high saturated fat diet, but I'm not afraid of it, and I eat a high quantity of saturated fat in my diet. I don't just eat, vegetable oils. I do include olive oil and things like that for the polyphenols. Those are really good for your brain too, but I'm not talking about everything in this video. I'm just talking about the 4 weird things. When they iodize the salt and they it's almost like they pasteurize the salt. It's really bad. They strip it of all the minerals that it should have in it. So I try to get just natural sea salt, right? So, a little bit of that crap salt is okay, but you don't want to have your whole diet being just crap salt, right? Just like this kind of salt they use in, let's say, like a normal hot dog or something. You don't want your whole diet to be that kind of salt. You want to have natural salt in your diet. So mostly I make sure I have natural salt in my diet. This also has sea salt in it. This is pretty salty. But again, it's natural, the non-chlorinated sea salt. They don't strip it of anything. It's got all its minerals in it. And that's what's going to hydrate your brain the most. It's going to be able to keep your brain hydrated so your brain isn't dehydrated. When you don't think straight and you're just kind of cloudy and you forget something or you forget where you put your keys, a lot of times it's because your brain is not hydrated. And so the salt, the good natural salt, is really good to hydrate your brain. You don't want to eat too much, but you'll be able to tell in your skin, like if you're hydrated or if you're over puffy, if you eat way too much salt, right? But again, salt is water soluble, so you can always pee it out. There's no problem eating a little bit too much. Like, I'm sure I get a little bit too much some days, right? I'm not always eating, just a plain amount. I eat quite a bit. So that was number 2. Now, number 3 is going to probably be shocking as well, but I eat a low protein diet. And in this day and age, everyone's talking about high protein diets. And, you got to eat lots of protein. But in actuality, having a high protein diet is not great for your kidneys. Your kidneys are the ones that process the protein. And in all honesty, your brain doesn't do well or at least what in my research, I have noticed that the brain doesn't do as well on a high protein diet. It's kind of clogging for the system, and it does take a lot of energy to break down protein as well. And so my diet is a lower protein. I'm not saying I don't get any or I don't have a substantial amount, but all the people talking about eating 100 grams of protein a day for like a normal adult is a little bit too much in my eyes. So I eat more of a low protein, a high carbohydrate, and a high fat diet. A higher fat. In this day and age, it would be considered high fat because it's a high calorie diet. So I get most of my calories from carbohydrates and fats, and then have a lower protein, and that's for a few different reasons. But in the brain, it also helps with brain processing. You don't feel as cloudy or weighed down because protein's the hardest thing to digest as well. So yeah, that's another thing I do for the best brain health. And then number 4 is I eat a high calorie diet, which I've already mentioned a few times, but a lot of people might not think that's the best or whatever, or they have everyone has their own opinion about that. But I have seen on the scans, when I've scanned my brain, when I was just eating a normal diet, just regular diet, I wasn't trying to eat more calories, I was just eating normally, just probably like, maybe around 2,000 to 3,000 calories was my normal amount. And I scanned my brain at that time, and I had a better brain scan when I was eating more calories, upwards of 4,000. So 4,000 to 4,500 calories a day. It sounds like a lot, but if you're eating high fat dairy like I do, if you're eating potatoes and all the things that I eat, it's not hard to get that amount. I eat like a pint of ice cream a day usually. I eat a high calorie diet, and I'm usually very conscientious of where my calories are coming from. I eat really good eggs, from really good places. The meat I eat is all, grass-fed meat. I eat a really high quality, high calorie diet, and that by far I've seen the best brain scans from that kind of diet, versus when I was just eating like just crap food, but it was a little bit lower calorie. Like even like I would eat, I ate whatever I wanted. At times, I still eat whatever I want, but I was eating just like sort of more plain normalized food, like lots of pizza, different things like that. But my diet wasn't as high calorie. And I noticed, when I included more of the saturated fats, like high quality dairy, the really good stuff, the organic, raw dairy, which isn't pasteurized, things like that, where the fats were more bioavailable, I saw much better brain scans where my brain was turned on in areas where, it hadn't been turned on before. Like my frontal lobe was much brighter, and you could see the activity was, there, right? And I could tell a difference as well. So these are just some of the things that I've noticed a huge difference from doing, and I have lots of other videos to film about brain health. This is one of my areas of expertise, so I love talking about this stuff. And if you have any questions, please ask me. If you love this video, thumbs it up. And if you love Neville, changing your life, brain health, and transformation, and my unique perspective, stick around. I'd love to have you. I love having you guys. Bye, guys.